Now, before we get started deploying our PHP app to Heroku, we need to check off a couple of boxes first. Make sure we have some of the prerequisite programs installed and files in place. So you're going to need, as you can see, I'm on Heroku.com right now. You're going to need a valid Heroku account, free to make. So if you haven't already done that, please go ahead and sign up. It's in the top right corner on Heroku.com. You're also going to need Git installed along with the Git repository for your project, and we're going to cover that in a second. You're going to need this thing that's called a proc file. Again, that's a Heroku specific file that we're going to get into in just a second. You're going to need to install Composer, and you're also going to need a valid composer.json and composer.lock files. These are all used for PHP dependency management, and also the composer.json file is going to tell Heroku that this is a PHP app. If you're deploying from the Heroku CLI, you also may need maybe Homebrew, the Heroku CLI itself. And you're going to also need PHP and Composer, obviously. So first, before we get into deploying our app, we're going to go into our VS Code right here. You can do this in a terminal. You can do it in your terminal in VS Code, wherever you prefer. And if you don't already have Git installed, I've included a link in the description with instructions on how to do so. If you're unsure whether you have or have not, simply open your terminal and just type out git -- version. And as you can see, I have Git version 2.24.3, and so that means I'm good to go. I've also included a link for how to initialize a Git repository and push it to GitHub. As you can see, I've already initialized a repository here. I've called it PHP Heroku Deploy Demo, and I've already cloned it. Even though it's empty, I've just cloned it here, just so I have version control with relation to this repository in this directory already. So, as you can see, I have just made a very simple web page. I'm going to let y'all look at this. So, it just says, successfully deployed PHP app to Heroku, and I've got the Heroku logo here, courtesy of Heroku. We have our simple web page, and I even include a little favicon up in the tab if you can see that. So that required two different logos, which I've put away, tucked away in this directory. And of course we have our index.php file. So the first thing that we're going to need to do before we make our first commit is we're going to touch our .gitignore file, like such. And what this is going to do, if you don't already know, is it is going to allow us to tell Git, hey, it's okay, we don't need to track this file or this directory for various reasons. Maybe you don't want to push your entire, like if you're storing some SQL files in your project, and you don't want that to be pushed. That's one reason. You probably also don't want to push up your vendor directory, for example, in PHP projects, because that's going to be an entire directory for all of your dependencies, which Heroku is just going to download using your composer.json file anyway, so you wouldn't want to put that in your directory either. So we're going to open it up because sometimes VS Code does not like showing hidden files, and the gitignore file is one of the hidden files, so we're going to open this up, and in here we are going to include, we don't want any potential environment .env files, and we also want to just exclude vendor. So great, we've done that. We can get out of there, and now that we have our .gitignore file, we are going to git commit, and we're going to call it our first commit. Oh, we have to add them first. And now we're going to commit. And now we are going to just git push. And so now we are in line. So if we go on to our GitHub, we're going to refresh. And now we have our directory here for the logos, and then our gitignore and our index.php. So we successfully initialized our Git repository, which is the first step in this process. Now, the second thing that we need to do is we need to go and make this thing called a proc file. And a proc file is basically telling Heroku what processes to run for your app. So in this, we won't go into the details of the proc file in this video, but we're just going to do what is required. Not profile, proc file. And there's no extension, there's no .txt, there's nothing special. It's literally just proc file, kind of like makefile if we have any C or C++ programmers in the audience here. So we're going to touch our proc file. It's going to make our proc file, and as you can see, VS Code, I love VS Code because it gives these really cute little icons. It detects that this is a Heroku-based file. So within this proc file, we are going to type very simple one-line web, and we're going to type out vendor /bin / Heroku, not Heroku, Heroku PHP Apache 2. And we're just going to hit save. And that's it. That's all we need to do for this file. So we can close this out. The next thing that we need to do is we need to add our composer files. So if you haven't already, make sure that you have downloaded Composer. Again, I've included a link in the description. So first, what we're going to do is we are going to touch our composer.json file. And again, this is listing all the dependencies that we're going to need. You could leave this blank. I am just going to have PHP required, because why not? Sorry, you have to put this inside require, and we're going to say PHP. And let's say that my app uses anything. Maybe we can say, how about 7.3.0, or maybe even higher, maybe 8.0. So we've finished with this. Now we can go down to the bottom, and I believe actually if you want to check to make sure you have Composer installed, you can do composer-v, or maybe it's Composer, capital V, my bad. Composer version 2.1.5. So okay, what we're going to do now is, since we have our composer.json file, we need to run composer update. And this is going to generate our composer.lockfile, which is also required. And so as you can see, running that generated our composer.lockfile. It also generated this vendor directory, which is grayed out because we've added that to our gitignore, which is exactly why we did that. So now we have created the proc file and we've created the composer files. Now that we have all these files, we are well on our way to deploying our application to Heroku. So before we go any further, we also need to commit this as well. So we're going to git add everything. We're going to git commit, and we're going to add the message added proc file and composer files. And we're going to git push. And so we're going to navigate over here and go to our GitHub. And as you can see, we have all of these added here. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to go onto Heroku and we're going to log in. So I've just logged in, and from here, from our Heroku dashboard, we're going to click New, and we're going to click Create New App. And I'm going to call this PHP, same thing as the repository probably, PHP Heroku Deploy Demo. So we're going to create our app. And this is what I love about Heroku. Heroku makes this extremely easy. We're going to go down here, and right next to deployment method, we're going to click Connect to GitHub. And so if you haven't already connected your Heroku account to GitHub, it may prompt you to do this. Mine is already connected. So we're going to search for a repository to connect to. If you already know the name, or you just want to make things a little faster, you can type it in here. I'm just going to hit enter, and it's going to search through all of them. We're just going to find the first one. Here it is, PHP Heroku deploy demo. So we've connected our deployment cycle to this repository, PHP Heroku deploy demo on our GitHub, this same one. And basically, what we can do now is we can enable automatic deploys so that anytime our master branch is updated, we are going to go ahead and automatically deploy to Heroku with all of our new changes, which is awesome in my opinion. So we're going to click Enable Automatic Deploys. And last but not least, we've enabled our automatic deploys, but we haven't actually deployed yet. We've just enabled the automatic deploys. So we need to explicitly deploy it on our first time. So we're going to deploy our branch. And so we can see the progress of it. So as you can see, installed the packages, it detected our PHP app, and it actually built extremely quickly. I hope we can go back into the logs. Let's see if we can go into, I believe, view logs. Nah, I don't think that we're able to. Let's see, view build log. Ah, here we go. So as you can see, and we're just going to go through this really quickly, PHP app detected, probably because it saw the composer files. It installed the packages. It installed the dependencies that were detailed in the composer files. And it installed the dependencies from the Lockfile. That's why the Lockfile is required. Procfile declares that types is web. So just like we typed out earlier, web vendor /bin Apache and then it released. So now we can go to this link. We can actually just go back to overview, and we can go up to the top right and click open app. And as you can see, this is our successfully deployed Heroku site. So we are 100% done. So now if I go back to just show y'all how automatic deploys work, let's say I want to come here and I want to link my GitHub maybe. So maybe at the bottom, I'm going to say, So now, if I hover over this, you can see that I'll just click it. It'll take us to our Heroku, or to our GitHub repository. So, all right, we successfully added that. I'm going to go back, and we see we have. I'm just going to git add, git commit. Oh, we got to do -m. Added link to GitHub. And we'll capitalize GitHub. And we're going to git push. And now we've pushed, this is updated, and now if we go to our Heroku, we actually have, as y'all can see, a new build in progress. And just like that, it's deployed. And so now we're going to go to our deployment, we're going to refresh, boom, done. Easy peasy, simple as that.